Good afternoon, students, and welcome to today's lecture where we take a spotlight on ancient Greek culture. I'm your professor, Dr. Rob Steffen, and today we're going to take a look at social structure in the ancient Greek world. Now, understanding ancient Greek society requires an exploration of its social hierarchy, because that shaped everything from daily life to politics, from cultural values to the economy. Now, while modern ideals emphasize equality, Greek society was really deeply stratified, with clear distinctions between free citizens, women, metics, who were resident foreigners, and enslaved individuals. This rigid structure determined everything from political participation to religious roles and economic opportunities. So one place where these social divisions were really quite visible was at the site of Brauron, a sanctuary dedicated to the goddess Artemis. This site was central to religious lives of young girls, many of whom participated in the Arctea, a ritual where they symbolically became little bears, kind of wild animals, before transitioning to a much more subdued domestic version of womanhood. The fact that only certain groups, namely wealthy Athenian women and girls, could take part in these ceremonies underscores how religious and social standing and gender all influenced this sort of ritual participation. By studying social hierarchy in ancient Greece, we gain a deeper understanding and appreciation for how status, gender, and citizenship all shaped individuals' roles and opportunities. And these distinctions, deeply embedded in Greek life, tell us a great deal about how the Greeks understood power, how they understood duty, and how they understood identity within their own communities. Now, citizenship was the defining feature of Greek social identity, and it dictated an individual's rights and their responsibilities. In most city-states, including Athens, only free, landowning men born to citizen parents could fully participate in politics. These citizens controlled the government, voted in the assembly, served in the military, and took part in major religious festivals. This created an exclusive sort of ruling class that maintained authority over the city-state's laws and customs. Now, right below the citizens were the metics. These were free, non-citizen residents who contributed to the economy, but had limited legal and political rights. Many were traders, or artisans, or laborers. And while they played a crucial role in Greek society, they never were granted full citizenship, regardless of how long they lived in a given city-state. Now, at the bottom were enslaved individuals, who performed labor essential to Greek society, from household work to farming, from mining to crafting. This hierarchical structure ensured that power remained concentrated among the elite males, reinforcing social stability, but also sort of creating these rigid divisions that limited upward mobility. Now, Brauron provides an example of how these distinctions impacted religious practice. While Athenian citizen women played key roles in the sanctuary's upkeep, enslaved women likely participated in these spaces in a much more subservient role, further illustrating the kind of deeply entrenched nature of social class. Now, ancient Greek society was highly patriarchal, with strict expectations for both men and women. Men dominated public life, engaging in politics and philosophy, and in warfare and in athletics, while women were largely confined to the domestic sphere. However, gender roles often varied from city-state to city-state. So Spartan women, for example, they had a much greater degree of freedom and were encouraged to engage in physical training, while Athenian women had far fewer rights and they were largely expected to remain indoors. Now, Brauron provides a sort of fascinating lens through which to explore female roles in Greek society. The sanctuary was really a rare space where young Athenian girls played a visible, active role in religious life, participating in the Arctea festival to mark their transition from childhood to womanhood. Now, while Athenian girls had little control over their futures, they were really expected to marry quite young, run a household, that sort of thing. The rituals at Brauron allowed them a kind of fleeting moment of public agency before they were fully integrated into their expected social roles. The presence of dedications at the sanctuary, including things like garments and jewelry offered to the goddess Artemis, further illustrate and highlight how women's religious participation was often tied to their reproductive and domestic functions. And so examining sites like Brauron, that helps us understand how gender norms operated in both daily life as well as within the religious and sacred realms. Now, as much as we like to think that Athens and Greece was really a progressive, forward-thinking society, enslaved individuals really formed the backbone of the Greek economy, performing essential labor across a range of industries. They worked in households as domestic servants, in agricultural fields tending crops, and in workshops producing everything from pottery to weapons to textiles. There were even state-owned slaves that operated silver mines at places like Laurion, which ended up being a crucial economic resource for Athens during the 5th century BC. Unlike modern forms of racialized slavery, Greek enslavement was not based on ethnicity. Instead, people became slaves through things like war or piracy or economic hardship. At religious sites like Brauron, enslaved individuals likely played these kind of supporting roles, maintaining the sanctuary, assisting the priestesses, and helping with festival preparations. While their participation was restricted compared to free citizens, their labor was really integral to the functioning of such spaces. And in some cases, enslaved individuals could earn wages, purchase their freedom, and even attain a kind of modest social standing. The full citizenship, that was basically off the table for good. Despite its widespread acceptance in ancient Greece, some thinkers, including a few of the Stoic philosophers, really questioned the moral implications of slavery. But these discussions were limited. And despite that, they sort of kind of foreshadowed debates on human rights and things like personal freedom that really remain relevant in historical and modern contexts today. The social hierarchy of ancient Greece influenced later civilizations, particularly ancient Rome, which adopted similar distinctions between citizens, freedmen, and slaves. Concepts of citizenship, class divisions, and gender roles, they persisted for centuries, shaping legal systems, political structures, and cultural norms. And even today, echoes of Greek social organization can be seen in debates about equality, about social mobility, and about political participation. Now, Brauron, as a site devoted to the rites of passage for young girls, really provides a valuable insight into how Greek social values were instilled from a very young age. The structured rituals there reinforce traditional gender roles and the expectations placed upon women in Greek society. More broadly, Greek social divisions remind us that while democracy and philosophy flourished in this area, they coexisted with rigid hierarchies that excluded large segments of the population from full participation. Studying Greek social structure allows us to engage critically with both its achievements and its limitations, offering lessons that remain relevant as societies continue to grapple with questions of status, of power, and of inclusion.